so much, and I'm delighted to be here, and thank you very much for the invitation. And you really work so hard to bring this group together every year, and I think it is just extraordinary to have so many people come together on this incredibly important topic of thinking about the issues of international peace and security and the welfare and the progress for women across the world, and our role in coming together to think about those issues and reflect on our own responsibilities. And to also have your International Women's Day celebration here. I think it's been an incredibly special International Women's Day because what it has been is also saying that this is making it happen. And when we talk about making it happen, it's also about making it happen not just locally but also globally. And in that I believe, and I believe this always, but I think that I reflect on my politics as in my role as well in thinking about the prevention of violence against women and girls. I do think a lot about how the issues that we face domestically are so connected with the issues that are that we've seen as international. And I'll give you some illustrations of my reflections over the last few months as I've been doing some work with girls' safety summits around the country. We're launching a report in the next couple of days around this. But also the work with fantastic campaigners to end female genital mutilation, campaigners to end domestic violence, campaigners to end forced marriage. It's incredible when you think about how the issues that we have here are such a reflection of the challenges that are going on elsewhere in the world, and how the campaigners here in Britain have actually started to change the dialogue and the language abroad, and through their campaigning here have also empowered campaigners in other countries where women's empowerment is even behind our own. And that has given me real heart, not just real heart, but real inspiration, to say when we're tackling these issues and we're looking at empowering women, and through that empowering society and empowering the next generation of girls that come forward, to make the world safer for them too, to make sure they've got the progress, or the opportunities for progress, the opportunities for education. It's actually about us working together. And it's a real example of where domestic and international politics need to unite so that we get the benefits both at home and abroad. And I have been also inspired by an increasing number of children that have come forward to be campaigners on this. There's some extraordinary work that Patricia Scotland has been doing in the House of Lords. She set up a youth advisory committee who are looking at ending domestic violence as well. I've seen it in my own constituency as well, where young people have started to stand up and look at some of those issues because they've seen it in their own communities as well as in their own homes sometimes. And it's incredible that we have young people who are coming up and able to tackle some of those really difficult issues and do it with confidence and with sensitivity and with maturity. And I believe that is a sign of how we're starting to see some of these campaigns become mainstream and become normalised. Because gender issues shouldn't be just issues that women debate in the sideshow, outside of the centres of power. In fact, the progress of half of the world and the progress of half of our nation, more than half of our nation, shouldn't be issues that are outside the mainstream. They absolutely have to be the mainstream, tied in with progress, tied in with discussions of power. And one other area that I've really come to believe very strongly is the need to very strongly connect the issues that go on and the communities and the organisations in civil society with political dialogue. Because it's political dialogue that is like the wind in the sails for the campaigns that go on elsewhere. Which is one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure I came today. Because politicians can help raise issues to another level. They can help force decisions to be made. They can help be the voice for those who maybe haven't had their voice heard on a national or international stage. And I can see how that can start to make a difference when you want to shift attitudes. There have been some really important emerging findings from the work that we've been doing over the last few months with young women across the country. And one thing that has really struck me has been the sense that there is a deep issue of culture, attitudes towards gender, that are so ingrained that they are disempowering for girls, even in our own schools, even in our own primary schools and our own secondary schools. Girls who have said to me when they feel harassed by boys, even in school, which is not uncommon, boys who don't realise they're doing anything wrong because they're copying lavish behaviour that they quote from what they see in newspapers or what they see on the internet. Actually, the sense of disempowerment, the drop in self-esteem, the sense that nobody's on their side, the sense that nobody understands, the sense that adults have their head in the sand over the reality of young people's lives today, so much of that came through. I had a girl who said to me that she was harassed by a boy in her school for 3 years, and when she finally had the courage to tell a teacher, the teacher said it's probably because he likes you. So they did nothing.
It's terrible.
And I had somebody who said to me that nobody ever told us what rape was, and I had to go onto the internet to find out. And so you have these issues of consent where girls are also saying boys feel under pressure to do it really early, and they say that they don't like a virgin. And so the girls then are growing up in this environment where there's something that is constant, not that is about respect, about growing up together, thinking about healthy relationships, having those messages come through, our relationship and sex education in school, which is an empowerment tool to give young people the resilience to stand up for what is right for them and not what they feel pressurised in their local community. And to have that come through so consistently from girls across the country, but surprisingly also from boys, who said they too realise that they are just copying what they see in the music videos, that they are just copying what they're seeing elsewhere, and that they too realise there needs to be a stronger intervention so that it's not just about education to girls about how to keep yourself safe, it's actually putting the onus on boys to not behave as they do. And in doing that, what we're saying is you will give young people both the knowledge and the tools to understand how to be different and more respectful to each other, so that you're not creating the perpetrators of the future, you're not seeing domestic violence and the sexual harassment issues of the future, because you want to give those young men the best start in life as well. So I believe that we have a real job to do, not just in tackling those issues that we see across the world, seeing an end to female genital mutilation, where I believe that we're starting to turn a corner in awareness, if not actually stop the practice, but that's the first step. To start to say, as we saw with India's daughter as well, that every nation needs to have the courage to actually stand up to what's going on in its own backyard. And having the conversation is the first step to empowerment for those that haven't had a voice before. And to actually say as well that in our own country, we have to take a stand where we have to give young people those tools. We should not have a situation where we have young people exposed to issues of child sexual exploitation on the scale that we've had, not have had a voice, not be believed, and then have a justice system that is extremely slow at getting them justice. What we need to say is, as well as tackling those rising numbers of issues that we're seeing coming forward, we have to have an incredibly strong prevention strategy that actually is empowering for young people, that challenges our attitudes to gender, that recognises empowerment is not just about women, it's about our society's interest, and gives young people a much better world as our legacy that they're going to grow up in and then be examples to the next generation.